Volodymyr Zelensky wrapped up his visit to Athens by signing a new agreement to deliver US liquefied natural gas to Ukraine through Greece. Russia launched over 1,200 attacks on Ukraine in the past week, while it claims to have gained new territory on the front line.
Amid pressure and opposition from the youth wing of his CDU ruling coalition, Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz backs draft legislation of the country's pension reform.
The UK will announce its most significant asylum reforms in years on Monday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ended his visit to Athens with the signing of a new deal to supply US liquefied natural gas to Ukraine via Greece. In the presence of Zelensky, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and US Ambassador to Greece Kimberly Guilfoyle, Greece's DEPA Emporia and Ukraine's Naftogaz agreed to begin transporting gas from December to help secure Ukraine's energy needs this winter. Mitsotakis said the agreement gives Greek and Ukrainian relations a new dimension.
Η Ελλάδα, έτσι για να το πούμε πολύ απλά λόγια, καθίσταται ένας πάροχος ενεργειακής ασφάλειας για την πατρίδα σας. Και αναμφίβολα όλες αυτές είναι καταλυτικές εξελίξεις στον δρόμο για την οριστική απεξάρτηση από το ρωσικό φυσικό αέριο. Γιατί η Ευρώπη θα σταματήσει να αγοράζει ρωσικό φυσικό αέριο, το οποίο δεν θα μπορεί πια να εισέρχεται μεταμφιεσμένο στην Ήπειρό μας.
As Zelensky acknowledged the important role of Greece as an energy hub.
Домовленість щодо постачання газу в Україну. Фактично, щоночі зараз росіяни завдають ударів по нашій інфраструктурі. Найбільше по енергетичній інфраструктурі.
Zelensky arrived in Athens on Sunday, welcomed by Vice President Kostis Hagidakis. He met President Konstantinos Tassoulas, who said Cyprus's occupation shapes Greece's stance on Ukraine. Zelensky's next stops are Paris and Madrid. Russia has launched a total of 1,217 drones and missile attacks on Ukraine in the past 7 days, according to Ukraine's armed forces. 176 attacks were fired overnight, with Ukraine's military saying it shot down or neutralized 139 of them. At least one person was injured in the northern Sumy region when a village was targeted, causing a large-scale fire, Ukraine's state emergency service said. Russia's defense ministry claimed on Sunday to have captured the village of Ropnopoli and Malatokmashka in the southern Zaporizhzhia region, as intense fighting continues on the front line. Meanwhile, Russia said it shot down 57 Ukrainian drones overnight. In a post on X, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Kyiv is working to restart prisoner exchanges with Russia.
Dmitry Glukovsky, the author of the Metro literary saga, is facing 8 years in prison for criticizing Russian President Vladimir Putin. Glukovsky, whose novels describe the world after a nuclear war, spoke with Euronews during a stopover at Chopin Airport in Warsaw. We asked him whether the scenario of a nuclear war between Russia and the West could actually materialize.
The only scenario in which Putin would be really forced to start nuclear war is the American tanks approaching Moscow. Then there's nothing to lose scenario, and then he might push the button.
We then asked for his opinion on what's leading Putin to stall on ceasefire and peace talks.
The purpose of this war is to eliminate Ukraine as an independent country and turn it into a fully controllable satellite of Russia. A peace right now does not help him to achieve it, because it just freezes the situation.
Glukovsky also detailed to us how he thinks the war will come to an end.
He might say he's happy with taking the entire Donbass, but that would require Zelensky to retreat from Donbass. That would weaken Zelensky's positions inside the country, so a few years will go by, just as it happened with Crimea, then Donbass, and then this incursion. Russia will rearm, Russia will regroup, and Russia will strike again because it cannot afford existence of a competing project with democracy pro-Western. It's the threat to the personal power of the autocrat. Now, as long as he's in power, this war continues. The next generation will be able to fully reset it because it's not about Russian national security, it's about the security of the power of this person. As soon as he's gone, for natural or unnatural reasons, everything changes.
The crisis over pension reform in Germany is escalating. During his weekend speech, Chancellor Friedrich Merz backed the draft legislation of the pension reform, putting him at odds with the party's youth wing, which rejected the reform package. Facing pressure, Merz warned that he did not want a bidding war for the lowest pension level.
An dieser Debatte bitte konstruktiv und aktiv teil, aber nicht indem ihr einfach nur sagt, was nicht geht, sondern mit uns darüber sprecht und wir gemeinsam diskutieren, wie es zusammengeht, liebe Freundinnen und Freunde. Das muss doch die Botschaft an die Bevölkerung sein.
The controversy over Germany's pension reform stems from the bill's provision to guarantee pension rises until 2031. According to the draft, additional cost of 120 billion euros would be incurred between 2032 and 2040. In October, some 18 members of parliament from Merz's ruling coalition, mostly from the CDU's party's Jung Union, made it clear that they would not be voting in favor of the pension package in its current form.
The European Parliament has adopted a report raising the alarm on transnational repression, tactics used by governments to reach across borders in order to try to silence dissent among the diaspora or exiled dissidents. It takes multiple forms such as defamation campaigns, digital threats, forced repatriation or murder. In 2021, Belarusian dissident journalist Roman Protasevich was detained after his flight from Greece to Lithuania was diverted to Minsk. It is not an isolated case.
I have a question to you. Basically, since the end of the Cold War, what's happened is that more people have been able to leave repressive states and settle somewhere else. And also we have telecommunications technology that allows us to stay in touch and actually also allows authoritarian governments to track people when they move abroad. And so what we've seen is this increase in authoritarian states trying to track and silence, surveil, harass dissidents abroad, including in the US, Canada, and all over Europe.
MEPs are now calling on European countries to codify transnational repression into their national legislation to better protect targeted individuals. They are also asking member states to prohibit the export of spyware to countries committing transnational repression.
On propose aussi de mieux lutter contre ce qu'on appelle les logiciels espions. Aujourd'hui, ces logiciels espions participent du harcèlement dans le cadre de la répression transnationale. C'est quelque chose que vous pouvez avoir sur votre téléphone, sur votre ordinateur sans même le savoir. Et aujourd'hui, vous avez par exemple beaucoup de dissidents russes qui sont espionnés via ces logiciels.
In 2024, more than 25% of the world's governments had engaged in transnational repression over the past decade, with above 1,200 physical incidents across 100 target countries, according to Freedom House. 10 regimes account for nearly 80% of all instances of abuse, led by China, Turkey, Tajikistan and Russia.
Consultative meeting of the heads of states of Central Asia in Tashkent, Uzbekistan delivered a landmark outcome. Leaders unanimously approved the accession of Azerbaijan as a full member of the format. As the president of Uzbekistan, Shavkat Mirziyoyev described it as a step that opens a new phase of cooperation and helping shape a unified space between Central Asia and the South Caucasus. In his address, the president outlined 7 key priorities for advancing what he called a new Central Asia. He highlighted rapid progress in regional integration, noting that borders have reopened, territorial issues have been resolved, and cooperation in energy, transport and trade is expanding. Mutual trade has now reached $10.7 billion, with investment growing by 17%. Azerbaijan's president Ilham Aliyev stressed that although his country is geographically located in the South Caucasus, intensive cooperation has led to the formation of a shared geopolitical and geoeconomic space with Central Asia. On his side, the president of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, stressed, among others, the prospects for cooperation in the field of rare earth metal mining. On Saturday, the presidents of Central Asia and Azerbaijan had the opportunity to visit the brand new Center for Islamic Civilization in the city of Tashkent. They all emphasized the importance of strengthening cultural and civilizational ties between the countries of the region. Sarunaz Rahmankulova, Euronews, Tashkent.
Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood will announce new asylum reforms on Monday, such as the UK increasing its permanent settlement waiting time from 5 to 20 years. Mahmood said the UK will welcome those fleeing war and danger, but will introduce stricter rules like other European countries.
Because what I also want to do alongside the changes that I'm making on reducing those pull factors is to create more safe and legal routes for people to come here legitimately at our invitation, which we believe is the best way to bring people over from danger abroad and help them settle in this country.
The British government hopes the scheme will deter people from crossing the English Channel. Over 32,000 have arrived on small boats so far in 2025. With numbers expected to exceed last year's 37,000. Unauthorized migration has long been an issue, but it has become a major political focus recently.